Today we're going to be doing Unit 10, Day 4. So we're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. So we're going to take some notes on the three kind of basic steps that we need to look for before we get started. So number one, when we're adding our fractions together, if we have the same denominator, then we can go ahead and just add or subtract the numerators. So go ahead and just write that down. And feel free to pause. I have these written out for you guys already. So if you want to pause and write them down real quick, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of talk through them quickly. Number 2 says if it's not the same denominator, then you're going to multiply by the other denominator to make them the same, and then you're going to add and subtract. So that's the second step. If we identify that the fractions have different denominators, that's what we're going to do. And then the third step, after we've done 1 or 2, we're going to simplify by factoring, and then we're going to cancel out our common terms. So go ahead and pause the video if you guys need a second to just jot those notes down. Otherwise, we're going to jump into number 1. So number 1 says add or subtract. So the first thing we're looking to identify is if the denominators are the same. So if we look at the bottom of the fractions, we have 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1. So those are the same. So all we're going to do next is add together our numerators. So x plus 2x becomes 3x, and our denominator stays the same as 2x plus 1. So that's our number 1. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 is a little bit different because we're subtracting. So first thing we're going to do is identify if our denominators are the same, which it is in this case. But we're going to recommend that you guys take that negative right away and distribute it into your numerator, just so you don't forget about it. So this negative is going to go right up to the top, and this is going to become a negative 5x, and this is going to become a positive 2. So make sure you guys do that right away so you don't forget to include that. So now all we're going to do is combine like terms in the numerator. So we have our 3x minus 5x, so that becomes negative 2x, a negative 1 plus 2, so that becomes plus 1, and that's all over 2x minus 5. So that's it. That's the only difference with subtraction and addition, is we want you to go ahead and distribute that up. So go ahead and flip over to your second page. And let's look at number 3. So number 3 is addition. Again, same thing that we're looking for. Our denominators the same? And in this case, they are. So we have x plus 3 and x plus 3. So all we're going to do is add together what's in the numerator. So we have x plus 4 and x plus 2. So that becomes 2x plus 6 all over x plus 3. So if you're looking at the relationship between these two, if there's anything else you can do to reduce it down further, this is what we want you to go ahead and do. So in the top, I'm going to factor out a 2, and I'm going to end up with x plus 3, and that's all over x plus 3. So if you guys remember that rule from before, we can cancel those 2 out, and that leaves us with a final answer of 2. So again, let's look at 4 and kind of see if we have the same thing going on in 4. So we're going to first identify if our denominators are the same. So we have x minus 2 and x minus 2, so those are the same. So the next thing I want you guys to do is take that negative, and we're going to distribute that right up into the top there. So this is going to become a negative 3x squared, and this 9 is going to become negative as well. So we're just going to add that together with the new negative signs. So now let's combine those like terms. So we have 4x squared minus 3x squared. So that becomes just x squared. And then we have 5 minus 9. That becomes a negative 4. And that's all over x minus 2. So again, looking at your numerator, is there anything you can do to reduce that down? And what do you know about 4? So if you look at this, this is going to be a perfect square for us. So it's going to factor out to x plus 2 and x minus 2. So if we have that all over x minus 2, those x minus 2's are going to cancel, and we are just left with x plus 2. So those first 4 are pretty easy because the denominators are all the same, but looking at number 5, we do not have that same thing. So this is where we're going to need to multiply by the opposite denominator. So when we're looking at number 5, we need to multiply both the top and the bottom by the opposite denominator, and same with the second fraction. Both top and the bottom by the opposite denominator. So for this first one, we're going to multiply by x plus 2 in the top and x plus 2 in the bottom. And the second one over here, we're going to multiply by x in the top and in the bottom right here. So go ahead and solve those. I'm going to do those as well. Double check your answers with me when you're all set. And notice for this, I didn't combine because I want to kind of leave it out in case I want to reduce down, in case I can cancel that out. So you can go ahead and just rewrite that x times x plus 2. Again, you're going to want to distribute that negative right up to the top. So this is going to become positive. So now that's a negative 2x. And again, same thing. I'm just going to leave that x times x plus 2 in the bottom. So now I have my denominators that are the same. So all I'm going to do is combine my like terms in the numerator. So for number 5 here, I have 6x plus 12 minus 2x squared. So I'm going to write those in descending order. So I'm going to start with my negative 2x squared plus 6x plus 12 all over x times x plus 2. Now you might be able to reduce that down a little further. I'm not sure. I'm not going to try it. We'll just leave it as is for right now, and then tomorrow we'll kind of talk a little bit more about how to reduce those down. So we're going to skip 6. We're going to do 6 together in class, and we're going to do 8 as well together in class. So 7 is going to be the last one we're going to talk through, and then you'll be all done with your notes. So again, first thing we're checking is the denominator. The denominators do not match, so we need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the opposite. So this first fraction, we're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by x minus 2. And over on this side, same thing, x plus 2, because that's the opposite denominator. So once we have that, we're going to distribute out our 2x. So 2x times x becomes 2x squared minus 6x. And then we're going to do, in the bottom, we're going to kind of just leave those again as is, because we're not reducing any further right now. So let's just leave that x minus 2, x plus 2, because we can do the same thing for the bottom on this problem as well. And then we'll distribute our 3x. So we have 3x squared plus 6x. And that's all over x minus 2, x plus 2. So we're going to combine our like terms real quick, and then we'll just kind of leave it as is. We won't reduce it down too far for this one. So 2x squared plus 3x squared, so we have 5x squared. Then we have negative 6x plus 6x. So that becomes 0. So we have 5x squared over x minus 2, x plus 2. And I think that's it. We're all set then.